And I was like, yo, this kind of would be probably crazy for some like dark choir like melodies and whatnot. All right, so before I break this chord progression down, I got to show you the bank that I use for it, because who would I be if I didn't? So it's inside of Kontakt. So it's this bank right here called Cloud Supply. Definitely got to shout out Tri-Freeze for putting me onto this. Crazy thing is, when I went to go look for this bank, I was like, I swear, I think I have this already. Last year, I upgraded my Kontakt Complete bundle. They always have like deals where you could like upgrade to the next one. It comes with a bunch of stuff. And I never really went through all of it. And I realized it's right there. So I hit download. I also got another bank right here, which we're going to get into later. So as you can see on the keyboard, I was kind of extending my chords and playing it all across the keyboard to kind of get bigger chords. But if we really just take these and invert them, you know, always invert like my middle notes. All we're playing is an A sharp on the root note, then we skip 1, 2, 3, then we hit this 4, and then we hit the 5. So we could just build a chord out like this. But bringing this up to the next note in the scale, and we are in A sharp harmonic, so that's why it's looking a little bit different. This gives us a little bit more tension. Right? And then all we do is invert this up, boom. And then we go to the next chord, and all we do is take the F and go to F sharp. In the harmonic scale, we get a lot of notes that are close together like this. That's why it's used for making melodies like this. So then we just play that same chord again. The next chord we play, we just move that F sharp up, then I invert this again, and that's pretty much the whole thing. And then I added one little passing note right here that moves up one note. I'm keeping all the notes very close. And then I hit another 2 little passing notes right here. And then the last chord is actually something I kind of did on accident. Again, the same chord, if we invert this back up, right? We have the same exact chord as right here, but I took the A sharp and I just brought it down to, again, one note right below, one semitone below, and it just created a lot of like tension, and it sounded really good. So then that is layered in with another preset from Cloud Supply, and let's go ahead and hear this one. Crazy thing is, I don't have any processing on either of these melodies. Like, that's just how they sound. They sounded good together, and I went with it. So now let's get into what I was talking about with this bank called Mysteria. So I downloaded this. I was going through again the huge upgrade. So I find this one, and I was like, yo, this kind of would be probably crazy for some like dark choir like melodies and whatnot. But there is one downside to it, and that is that a couple of these banks, like Atmosphere, I believe all of these are pretty much like one note bank type things. You can't play them across the keyboard and really change like the pitch every time you hit a different key. It kind of just triggers one thing. As I was reading the guide to it, it kind of says that they want you to just be able to hit one note and then move this around, which alternates between the two and kind of gives you like an XY axis that just gives you a bunch of different tones. So imagine you were scoring something, you can kind of just trigger one key and then move this around. So it'd be cool for like a horror movie or something, but let me show you real quick. So I'm not gonna lie, before I got out of this Atmosphere bank, I tried to throw this into Auto-Tune to see if I could like move it around. But yeah, you could get real creative with that, but you could see how if you're trying to follow a melody, it might not work. But then I randomly clicked on these and I saw that it did change, so I gotta go through it more. But yeah, let me show you these. Which is kind of what you're more used to. So again, I found that out after the fact. So give me some more time to mess around with it, figure it out a little bit more. But at the time of making this loop, I did use one of the ones that's kind of just a one shot, and I randomly found one that just kind of fit in key. So let me go ahead and show you that. It's nice and layered in the back, and it just sounds good. Then the next thing I did was add this violin. What I did was went on Splice, and I just got this violin one shot right here. And then I played this, and I'll play it out on the MIDI keyboard for you real quick right now. All right, so once that gets added in, then we get this to the sample. And this is really just kind of a run I came up with. Started kind of low, pretty much just walked up the scale and then back down, and it really just kept that eerie vibe by having this harmonic scale and keeping a lot of the notes close together again. And since it is a one shot, there's not like too much craziness to the violin, you know, it doesn't necessarily sound real, but it sounds cool. And then the other thing I did was just went on Splice and got an actual violin sample and layered it in. That's kind of where this went crazy. So let me go ahead and play it, because there's not really too much breaking it down, as it is just a violin sample. Crazy. That violin really takes us to the next level. And then we get into the drums. So let's go into the drums. Drums are actually super simple. I have a LS open hi-hat from Resupply, and then a LS snare, and then we have just a sizzle snare, a simple 808, and then a hi-hat. The LS ones are from Resupply, the others aren't. Let's start off with the open hi-hat and the snare, because these are kind of easy to explain. Open hi-hat's just hitting on the one. We'll probably add more to it. And then we have the snare that hits on the 3, and you can have the snares hit a little bit more. You could go crazy with the snares. You know, for me, I like to keep some things and the beat a little bit simple, but it really doesn't matter. Go crazy. I went crazy with the hi-hats, as you can see in the background, so I wanted the snare to kind of just sit simple. Then we get into the hi-hats, which are a little bit crazy. We'll remake something like this so I could show you how I do it, but let me just play them out first. I want to play that 808 so bad. It's wild. But yeah, let me just show you how we could do these. The simple way to really do this is you start off with the 2-step. So imagine you already had the 2-step in the channel rack, right? I like to go to 1/6 step. We're at 160 for the BPM, so it'll work nicely. And then we'll just hit Shift D, and that will lock it in. And then from here, the best thing to do really is just to get this paint tool, and it'll lock in. We'll just select one, and it'll lock in to that note, and it'll lock into the grid. And then what we're gonna do is just kind of find spots to put these rolls, and also do rolls that go down. So if you see, if I hold this and drag over, it locks in, right? But let's say we want it to go down and it's not working. All you need to do is hold Shift first and then click, and then you can just kind of go crazy. Let's do like a 4 right here. Bring this down actually to like A, maybe A sharp, and press play. We already have our first one. So let's go right here, hold Shift, click. Let's go something like this. There we go. That little lead up sounds good into that. So actually right here, let's just do something like that. And then we'll go right here before the start of the 7th bar. And let's go down to like A sharp here. Let's skip, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Let's skip in between 3. Let's go 4. So simple things like that, you can kind of just get these hi-hats going, really just sit there and figure out nice patterns. I would say try not to put too many of these little ones that kind of fall down too close to each other, because sometimes it just kind of sounds repetitive. They're better to kind of be in between at random, and then you can mess with velocity like that too, to where you kind of just right click and drag down. All right, now let's go to the 808. I deleted it because I think it's just gonna be better if we play it from scratch on the keys to just kind of get the feel for it again, because it just sounds so crazy. You definitely want to have a hard-hitting 808. Put a soft clipper on your master and just let the 808 go into it. Honestly, like a crazy amount, I'm not gonna lie. It depends how loud you want it. This one's kind of gonna distort, but it's gonna sound good. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna just hit that root note of A sharp because I think it sounds real good, and maybe at the end we'll do a fill of like 2 notes. Bro, I got stuck in all the chords. All right. We could probably do a little fill right here. So yeah, right here we'll do a fill. I was trying to move forward and my mic cord got wrapped up in my computer chair and I literally couldn't move, but we're keeping that in the video. Let's go maybe third step for this, and let's create probably something like that down to F. In the original, I just kept it hitting at A sharp, but maybe a little fill would sound cool. Make sure your 808's on cut itself. Let's see what this sounds like. So I duplicated the violin again over here and I dropped it down a whole octave. Then we go to normal and then we go to a higher octave. When the higher octave plays, I bring back in the little violin I played, and then it just kind of adds to it. It adds like a low buildup right here. You kind of hear it, then it goes normal, then it goes higher, and it just continues to elevate like the tension. So yeah, let's just hear it from the top. This is gonna go crazy. Then higher. It's even more aggressive.